Okay, welcome everybody. I think we're halfway through the course. We're really making good progress. And as you all know, we're in the production phase now. I'm happy to report that last night I went down to Umeda with the Osaka is Voguing team. And we did the first filming of this project. It was pretty exciting. I don't know, Tanvi or Kaori, do you have any comment? It was kind of high pressure, but very successful.
It wasn't as high pressure as we expected. We were more nervous going into it, but yeah, we are pretty excited now, and we're hopeful that it'll all come together. We are fortunate enough to get a very good subject, a very good main character. So if things go wrong, then that'll be on us. We don't have anyone else to blame. So there is that added pressure. But yeah, everything went on right on schedule and we got all the necessary access. So it went well.
I think I have a photo of you guys. Can you see that?
Nice.
Yeah, nice. All very well set up. That's pretty good. Yep. Okay. How about you, Kaori? You had to do all the camera work. Yeah.
Yes, I think it was good, and it is not related to my camera work, but I think that Tambi chose a very good person. He was very talkative, and even though we met for the first time, he is very willing to share his information or his experience so much. So I think the person we met was very kind and good person.
Yeah, I agree. He was his responses to the questions were really good. So he didn't just give like one word answer or one sentence answer. He actually explained things quite well, and also he was kind of using his body when he was talking. So that's kind of quite nice. He was very animated. However, it's not really clear whether that footage will be used or it will be used as a voiceover. So anyway, the next step is the team are going to be filming at a party that's taking place this Saturday, the Vogue Ball. So they're really going fast. So I really encourage the other teams to get into the filming mode as quickly as possible. Okay, well today Luis is back with us and the topic is changing to the second part of the skill set that you need to develop, which is the editing. And I think last week was really fantastic. I have a recording of it, which I want to upload to the learning management system. And I'm also recording this one as well. So you'll be able to review all of them in due course. I had a little bit of a copyright problem with the first video, but I'll sort that out. Anyway, Luis, I think pass it over to you. We're really looking forward to today's lecture.
Okay, thank you very much, Brendan. It's great to see that that the teams are already doing some progress on filming. It's great. So you guys already have some material to start playing around with the ideas that I will give you today for editing. So that's great. So yes, today we're gonna move to editing. And just like last week workshop, I mean, it's really a lot of material to be able to really put it into an hour and a half. But I hope I give you at least an introduction to the topic and some key points that then you can follow up later, or even with me actually later on. I am happy to give you guys also some direct advice later on your specific projects. All right, so let's jump into the presentation. Let me see if I can do that. Okay, I have to share my screen, right? Okay.
I just gave you permission, so please.
Okay. Keynote. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so let's turn this off. Can you see my presentation? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, good. Make this bigger. Okay, so today topic is the editing workshop. It's the editing workshop, and I will show this slide at the end too, but if you want to copy my email and website, on my website, you can see some of the examples that I will be showing and that I showed you also last time. And my email if you wanna ask me some questions later. And the last one is my Instagram handle if you wanna check some more of my images in Instagram. And you can contact me through Insta too, if you use Insta. Okay, so just like the last time, as I was saying, this topic is really vast, and we could spend 1 month just in editing. But I'm gonna try to at least introduce you to the basics, and then I'm gonna mention a lot of common mistakes or a bit advanced tips and tricks that then we can follow up later. Maybe it's gonna be the case now that you will have to take notes, and then once you are actually in front of a computer with an editing system, you will be able to explore these ideas. Now, I think the ideal situation would be that all of you would be already in front of an editing system, but it is not the case now. So just let's take a lot of notes, and then you can review them. And once you are actually editing your piece, or later on, just using the editing system. And the editing system we're gonna use today is Premiere. It's Adobe Premiere. Again, there's many editing systems, from super simple ones that you can use on your phone to edit your phone movies that are very basic, but allow you to edit movies, to other options like online editors and several software. But I think Adobe Premiere is one of the most widely used, and it's both used by kind of semi-pros as well as very pro people. So we're gonna use that today, and it's the one I know how to use the most too. So we're gonna be using that today. Okay. So today we have all these topics. I'm gonna just read them quickly, and then we're gonna go into each one of them, and that's gonna be our workshop today. So number one, we're gonna talk about getting organized with your footage that you are shooting, especially, for example, the team one that you are already shooting. Sorry, you're not the team one, but the first team that already started shooting, the voguing team. You can already see that you have lots of material, and so the question is how to better organize all that material, right? Then number two, we're gonna see how to bring content into the editing software. Number three, we're gonna have an introduction to the software. And number four is maybe what we are most likely gonna spend most of the time, which is the workflow. You know? I suppose you have heard this word, workflow, which is like a standard set of steps that you follow to achieve a result, right? And more or less, you always do the same thing, the same steps of this process. So that's a workflow. So we're gonna see the basics of editing workflow. And then 5 and 6, I will see, hopefully we have time to do that, but it's a bit more advanced topics, like styles and approaches to editing, and other technical points like adding texts, dealing with audio, using photos, and dealing with color. Okay, so let's go to the first one. And actually today the presentation is very simple. This is basically the presentation, is just the outline of the topics, and then we're gonna go to each of the topics, and I'm gonna be jumping to my my computer, and we're gonna be in the software, and also we're gonna be looking at my files, how I'm dealing with them. Right? So without further ado, let's start with the first one. So it's get organized. Yeah? And basically, actually, one of the keys in all this business of editing it's being very organized. Or being organized is basically the name of the game, I would say, because unlike maybe other softwares, for example, when you are writing a paper, you have one file, which is your Word file, and you do everything there, right? And you have one file. You may have versions of that file, but you have one file, and that's the file where you're writing everything, maybe your homework or your research paper. But in Premiere, in Premiere and all of these editing systems, what you have, it's a file that is the Premiere file that then actually points to many other files, right? When you go and shoot video, you will have dozens or even hundreds or even thousands of files, depending how long is your shoot. And then Premiere is gonna point to all these files, right? And then you're gonna do things to those files inside Premiere, right? So you don't have one file, you have many files. So it's very important that you are organized, because you can become, your project can become quite messy very easily. And then you can, for example, lose work. Maybe you do a lot of work, and then because of your disorganization, you may lose this work. So you have to be very organized. So what am I talking about? Let's see. So, okay, for example, I am, and I'm going to be using some of my projects from before as examples and of how to do this, right? And anytime during this session that you have a question, please just ask me to, if I am going too fast or just going too fast explaining things. All right, so okay, so what you have after a shoot is in your cards, you have lots of files, right? Then normally what you do is either at the, maybe you go back to your studio or your place and you copy these files to a hard drive, right? So this is a bunch of files related to a project that I shot. And it's a little event, and it's kind of simple, so I thought it would be good for this purpose. It's basically an event with where one person is introducing a new initiative. So we have the person talking a little bit, and we have lots of other footage, and you're gonna see it. So I shot all this footage with my camera, and now I have it here, right? So it's a whole collection of files just there. So to start with, we have to start by organizing this footage, okay? So what I would have is a folder structure that I would use all the time. So to start with, I would put all my video files in a folder called simply video. Sorry. Okay. Then I have a bunch of photos. I don't know if I'm gonna use these photos, but let's organize them too. Okay. All right, so it's looking better already. And for this, I have a soundtrack that I selected. So let's call this music. So that's looking already a lot better. Quite often, you will have, if you shoot for a long time, and depending on the media you are using, you will run through 1, 2, 3 different cards, right? I think the camera you use cards, and then the Ninja recorder you have use cards or hard drives, Brendan?
It has a SSD, so it's small drive.
Small drive, okay. So again, so for example, if I was shooting like that, I would shoot with both the recorder and the camera and then keep both files just for safety. But say that you are just shooting with the camera, still you will have 1, 2, 3 cards, for example. I would just make, for example, say you shot yesterday. So it's November 23. I may include, say, for example, I may include a code for the project, for example, voguing, the date that you shot something, and say it's like a card 01. And I would put my, now I just say I just have one card. So I would put all of that there. Just for example, you will shoot several days. So it's a way to keep track of, okay, this I shot this day, this I shot that day. It's a way to keep track of that. You know? And if you shoot several cards, then you have several cards also, right? So I just shot one day and just shot one card, so I'm keeping it simple. So, and I will create a folder for Premiere files, okay? So is it visible, this folder structure and everything is not lost in my big screen here? Is it okay?
And we can see it fine.
Yes. All right, awesome. Maybe I can do it, maybe I can make it a little bit bigger, can I? Not really. Okay, so you see it's already a lot more organized, okay? Already. Now, a second step I like to do, and it's renaming my video files. And there's many reasons why you want to do that. I don't know the camera and the recorder you are using, but depending on the camera and the recorder, sometimes they will give the files like a random sequential number and name. And that's maybe fine because that will be unique forever. The camera will never produce a new file with that name and number. But sometimes, especially these recorders, they may go with something like 01, 02, 03, 04, right? And then if you shoot again, or if you shoot another card, it's going to start again 01, 02, 03, 04. And then like this, right? So you may end up with many files named 01, right? And that's really a recipe for disaster in this, right? Because the computer maybe at the beginning when you start editing, it may work, but then when you start to, you may need to reconnect some files, and then the computer is not going to know if it was the file number 1 that you shot on Monday, or on Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then it starts to become a mess, right? Or what a friend used to say, that she is not capable to reconnect files called untitled, right? Like files that are called untitled, it's meaningless, right? So there's many like that, and what's that, right? So if you see my structure here, I think these are files coming from a Canon camera, and it does look like it's kind of unique names. It's like a long unique name. But even if that's the case, I will go ahead and rename them, right? So we have these files. How many files we have? I don't know. Okay, we have a few dozen files. So what I do, and again, I'm going to be doing things in my way and with the tools that I have. For editing, there's many ways to do things, and there's many tools to do stuff. But this is the way I do it, and the tools that I use. For example, because I use a Mac. So some things I do with software for Mac, which I think anyway, that's what you have in the university, but maybe in other cases you won't do. No? But what I do is I would go to this utility, which is Automator. You don't really need to learn this. You can see it later, but anyway, so you just see the process in action, and then you can find information about how to do it exactly. No, but basically it's something like this. So I want to rename files, rename Finder items. Then how do I rename them, right? So, and again, if you use a different software for this will work differently, but basically my point is that I want to add some text. I want to actually make sequential. Yes, I want to You want to make them sequential or add a name? I guess these ones are already kind of sequential. Yeah. So I'm just gonna add a name, let's say. I'm gonna add this text. So this is the project. This project is called Future Launch. And we're gonna put this before the name. Let's just call it Future Launch. And sometimes I wanna keep the original name in the renaming too. So I leave it like that. And I bring all these files, and then they are renamed with the name of your project, right? My project is Future Launch. Your project is voguing. You can also add the date. I would add the date too, the name of the project and the date, name of the project and the date, those two things. No, I didn't add the date now, but yeah. So to make this file really unique, right? So if there's if you shot with the Ninja recorder and the Ninja recorder goes file 001, 02, 03, next time you will have a file that is called Future Launch 2020, 11, 23, but then you will, and the file number is gonna be the 03. And then for the next day, you will have the date too, so that will make them unique. Sorry, I don't know if it's a bit confusing. Is that kind of clear, that idea? Yes?
Yep.
So basically just rename them to make sure these files are unique. So it doesn't become, so you can trace them always. No? Okay. So this is, yeah, so we have them renamed there, right? So we already organized our folder and we renamed our files. So this is kind of the basics of, this data management, right? And an additional suggestion, a very strong suggestion that I will give you is always record or have 2 instances of the whole project, right? When we go in on a shoot, sometimes I go on location for a week or whatever time. And every night after we finish shooting, I would make 2 copies. I'm always carrying 2 hard drives of the project, and I will copy twice whatever I shot, copy it once, copy it twice. Yeah? And once I'm working, I would keep the backup somewhere. Maybe I never use it, and then I'm just using one of the copies for editing, right? But make sure that you are always you always have your footage backed up, because I mean, imagine all the effort, time, and money, even money also, that it costs you to shoot something, and then you lose it. Is really annoying, right? And you may not actually be able to shoot it again, right? And you have to maybe go back to the people and say, sorry, we can shoot this again. It's very embarrassing. So better don't have to do that. You know? So just have 2 copies of the project as much as possible. Okay. All right. So let's keep sharing our screen. Yes. So that's a basic idea about getting organized, which is renaming files and creating this folder structure. And another little tip there that I tend to do is I name folders with capital letters, and I name files all low caps, just to make it easier for me also to recognize things. But again, this is just my way to do it. You can do it in any way you want, as long as you are organized, right? That's the key point. I don't know if anybody has any question at this point, or Brendan, if you think some point should elaborate on.
I think.
Good. How about the voguing team? How many files do you have already, for example? Or how long did you shoot for?
We shoot about 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yes, and the file is about 20 to 30 and 25 around.
So you shoot the interview only.
And after the interview, we asked him to take some pause, and we shoot that too.
Okay. You shot a little bit additional things. Okay, so you have like a 10 files or something. 5-10 files. Good, cool. So maybe for you it's more obvious now that how you are going to organize this footage that you already shot. Okay, so now we're gonna go and start going into our software, and we'll get organized again inside the software. Okay, so let me. Okay, so let's launch Premiere. Okay. Okay, that's Premiere. Where is Premiere? Where did it go? Okay, so has any of you have used some editing software or Premiere, or is this the first time all of you will be seeing? Is anybody like can raise your hand if you have used? There is Niels, I think.
Yes, I used mostly iMovie,
Okay.
also Final Cut, and a little bit of Adobe Premiere.
Great. Okay, but for most people, it's a new thing. Okay, so when you open Premiere, this is what you will get first, and we're gonna create a new project. Okay. I'm gonna in general, try to keep things simple. So some things I just not explain too much. But basically, then Premiere is gonna ask you what name you wanna give to the project. So let's call it Future Launch. And let's browse. It's asking you where do you wanna put this project. So I'm gonna put it here. Okay. This one. Okay. All right. So here we are. So, okay. Let me make it into the most simple way here. I have to keep you guys, your little screens too. Okay, what is this? Okay. All right. So most editing software will have what you have here now. And I'm going to give you a little tour, and then we're going to start doing this process, and maybe all these elements will become more obvious to you. Okay. So Premiere is organized in panels, like in panels and workspaces, right? So there's many panels, and you can organize these panels in many ways, but for you guys is maybe just let's keep it simple and with some predefined workspaces like this one, right? So this is the editing workspace, we call it, Premiere calls it. And then there's several panels here, right? So basically there's 4 things that you have to remember, no? So there's four spaces here that are the key things that you will be dealing with most of the time, right? So here on the left lower corner, you have your project and all your project's assets, we say. Yeah? So all these assets is whatever media you are using, mostly video, but you also will have music, maybe you will have just audio, photos, other things, right? So all of that goes here, and that is why it's telling you import media to start, right? And that's what we're gonna do next, as soon as I explain you the other ones. This area here is where you will be editing your movie. It's called the timeline. This area here is where you view your timeline, the program you are creating, editing. And this area here is where you preview the assets that you are going to use, right? Right? So there's these four places. And then a couple of other things is this area here, which is your tools, right? This little area here. There's many, but actually maybe you just need to use a couple of those, no, for most of what you do. And then there's this area here, which is your volume, telling you your volume, okay? So maybe that went over your head, but that's fine because we're gonna go now into each one of those, now that you know which they are. So there's many ways to bring your media into Premiere. So let's check a couple of those. So it says here, import media to start. So if we double click there, it opens up the Finder and it's telling you, okay, tell me what files shall we import, right? So, okay, so this is the files that we just renamed, right? You see that now we have this very organized system here. So we know that there's our videos here, there's our music here, and there's some photos, right? So, okay, you can just choose the whole folder, or you can choose specific files inside the folder, right? So let's say we choose this folder and it's going to import your files. It's taking a while. Okay, sip some coffee. Okay, so now we have them here. And something that is kind of cool is that actually it kept the name of our folder, right? It's not just all the files, but our folder is here already with this. I mean, I called it voguing. I was making the example that it was the voguing team, but you will already have here the folder, the organization that you were creating here, right? Had the video and this voguing, etc. So it's already keeping that folder structure. If we brought it all the way from the video folder, it would be called video too. No? So another way to bring assets into your project is just to drag and drop. If you are into drag and dropping things, is maybe very intuitive. So for example, let's drag and drop all these photos. So you just throw them in there. Okay, boom, it's imported. Sometimes cameras, okay, this is maybe an interesting thing. As you can see here, it says file import failure. So you may be like, oh, what's going on? My files are corrupted or something. But actually, many cameras create, along with the main video file, it will create several other files with all kinds of metadata and stuff. And sometimes those cannot be brought, into Premiere. So that's what this Premiere is now complaining about. It's not complaining about your actual video files, but it's complaining about the other files that are coming along with the video files. So you say, okay, we don't care. And so we have the files here. No? I think there were some raw photo files. So it said, no, I don't like raw files, just JPEGs are good. Okay. And again, as you can see, we have the folder name. And similarly with music, we can just throw the music in there. Okay, it's importing it. Okay. Okay. And just as an additional organization, like in our Finder folder, we can create a folder called video, and then we have this here. So it kind of mirrors the structure that you had outside in your Finder in your computer. You kind of mirror it inside here in Premiere to get organized. Okay. And on top of that, we will be creating other content that is this organization is going to grow a bit as we go along. Okay. All right. So now we have this panel here. It's we kind of understand what's there. It kind of works like similarly as a Finder in your computer, in which you have the folders in Premiere, we call them bins. Actually, we don't call them folders, but you can call them both folders. It's the same, but officially it's called bins. For example, if you're going to create a new folder, it's going to say new bin. So you cannot find new folder, but you can create a new bin and call it, for example, edited timelines. Okay. So it works very similarly as a finder. Right, you just right click and you have many more options here. And if you go inside some of your folders, for example, let's see, we're going into the video, now we're going into voguing, and now you are here. To go back, again, it's a bit similar like a finder. You can go back here. So it's telling you like go up one level. So you go up one level, you can go up one level, and now you're in your project, right? Okay, so far so good. Yes, Mama. Okay. Okay. All right. So now you want to see these files, right? So what did you shoot? No, maybe you haven't even clearly looked at what you shot. Maybe the cameraman saw it, the camera person saw what was shot, but the director didn't looked at it, or the editor is a different person. Maybe the editor was not in the shoot. This person doesn't even know what you guys shot. Okay, so we need to look at this footage. So there's several ways to do this, right? So let's see, we want to see this file. So clicking in the file will open the file in the left upper hand, which is, we call it is the source monitor. So your source is your source files, and now you can see them here. And you have here, I mean, you have several things, but it's also kind of the controls of a video player. So you can just, you see, so it's play.
And health is, of course, one big topic right now. So we are talking about the future of healthcare.
Okay, so play and stop.
This video.
You have just like a video player. You can scan your file, right? And like that, you can do with everything, right? Okay.
To do it somehow.
Okay. There's other controls here, but that we'll leave it at that for now. And the last component is to start editing your footage, right? Or to view it here in the timeline. So we need to create a timeline. A timeline is what we call your edited movie, basically, right? It's here, it says timeline. You can also call it a sequence. So we need to create a timeline. And so we need to create a sequence, basically, right? So you go to File, New, Sequence. That's one way to do it. Creating a new sequence. Okay, so we create a sequence. Okay. Never do it this way. Okay, let's just create it. Okay. So now we have a sequence here. Sequence 01. It was automatically titled like that. And it created a new item here. Is it visible enough? Sequence 01 with a little bit of a different icon. Let's get it out from here. Oops. Okay, and I'm gonna put this in this bin or folder called edited timelines, right? Now we have this timeline. Now that's good, but a way that I like to do this, okay, this may be a little bit complicated, but so your files have a certain characteristics, right? They were shot in a particular frame rate, for example. You know about, I think I told you about frame rates last class, right? Like the standard in Europe is 25 frames per second. The standard in Japan is 30 frames per second. So your files were shot in this specific frame rate. Then your files also have a specific dimension. Maybe you shot them at 4K, which is huge files. Maybe you shot them at high definition video. Maybe you shot them very small with your phone, right? So there's your footage can have many characteristics depending on the camera and the settings you use. So the timeline you use has to match those settings, right? So instead of you going and trying to find what's the settings and trying to put them by hand, there's a very easy shortcut to do that. And it's, you can go to your video, and actually here is telling you actually all the information about this video, right? You see, okay, this is this clip that has this name, and the frame rate is 50 frames per second. And it tells you lots of more information. It tells you that it's 1920 by 1080, which is HD video, and other bits and pieces of information. So the easiest way to deal with this, to create a timeline that it's same as your footage, is to select one clip, right click it, and there is new sequence from clip. Got it? So Premiere is going to analyze this clip and create a sequence that already matches those settings. So you don't have to worry about it, right? Right now. So now this sequence will match your settings, okay? And yes, maybe we leave it at that for now. Right. This, yeah, but these are the 4 places that you will be working on, right? Okay. Okay. All right. So as you saw, again, this is the where you will keep your assets and all your elements that you will be using to compose your movie, right? So now we already have videos, we have music, we have photos, and we have some edited timelines, right? So I'm gonna call this Future Launch 01 because we are just starting this project. As you saw, we can preview footage here on the left, upper left. As you saw, we can put the clips on these sequences here on the timeline to edit them. And now we can, as you can see, we are already being able to see the footage here in the program, we call it, right? Program monitor. So this is already like your TV program. Huh? That's why it's called program, of what you are putting together, right? Okay. Is that more or less clear? 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. And as you can see on my right hand here, the other element here is the volumes.
So we are talking about the future of healthcare. We show this video, and Jason Silva.
Okay, so you see that the volume is going up and down here. So this is to monitor your volume. If you don't have sound, there's no sound, so there's no volume, so you don't see any reaction on this side, right? And the other thing is the tools here that we're going to start using, right? Okay, so that's about bringing content into the editing software, and we got organized again. Yeah. Again, you have to be very careful all the time, to take a little bit of time, up front in your project to organize things, and then you don't have to suffer later and put a lot of time later trying to figure things out and arrange things that got messed up or out of sync, right? We also saw this introduction to Premiere in these panels and workspaces. And now we're gonna go into a little bit of the workflow that I go through to edit a video, okay? So first, number 1 in workflow is viewing and selecting your footage, right? Because as I was saying, most of the time, the person editing this footage is not gonna be the same people that shot it. So they haven't seen this footage. And even if you are the one who shot it, I personally shoot, direct, and edit many of my programs. So even if I shot it, you have a different perspective once you are editing, right? So you have to see all your footage. Also to start seeing what you got, what was good, what was wrong, etc. Right? So the way I would go about this is in this way. And again, everybody has their slightly different way to go about things, but this is the way I go about it, and I find it effective, efficient, and useful. So here we have our primary sequence, right? Future launch 01. So now I want to see all the footage, right? And I don't want to be going into each one of these videos like this, and
we have no external speakers, so
looking.
So you have to
checking every one of my clips here. I don't want to do that. I want to be a bit more efficient than that. So what I do is I come to my footage, I select all my footage, and I throw it on the timeline. You see that? Okay, I'll do it again. You can also do with the whole folder actually, right? So now you have all your footages there on the timeline. All right, good. So we can see very easily that we have, okay, we have like about 13 and a half minutes of footage, right? So what I would do next is I would just look at it, you know, and often this gets done together, say the director and the editor, they will go over the whole footage maybe once or twice, maybe once slowly.
And health is of course.
Right.
Right.
So this, as I was saying, it's an event where there is the launch of a new initiative. And this is the main guy. This is the founder of this initiative, and he is doing a speech. Right. So I shot him.
Talking about the future of healthcare. We show this.
Okay. There's sound, but I'm gonna mute it a little bit for now, just so you guys listen to me. But so you see, there's footage of him. I don't know if this, okay, this is maybe getting on the way. Okay, so you can go over the whole footage like this, right? Okay, and then the editor often doesn't know the significance of things. So the director may say, yeah, these guys are really important because blah, 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 blah. This is really important to use this because we can see this guy that is very important for the movie, etc. Right? So there's like a briefing between the director and the editor, and they discuss about what they are seeing, and the director explains what's going on, what they are looking at, right? So often you have to run through hours of footage actually, so you might not want to see it on real time all the time. So what you can do, it's go over it a little bit in fast way. So you can play this footage, and there's lots of shortcuts too in Premiere, and I'm using them. And I mean, there's no way that you can learn all of them and me explaining you all of them. But I can point you to resources where you can see all these shortcuts. But this is very important shortcut, which is how to control, how to make the movie go fast and forward and backwards, so you can see your footage, right? And those are the L and the J actually. So with the L, you click the L and you'll see the footage at real speed. But if you click it again, it starts going faster. If you click it again, it goes even faster. I sometimes just click a lot, and okay, so I can see, okay, that's all about this guy speaking. It's a bit similar. Okay, there's all this footage that is these guys. Okay, this is different, right? Okay, this is different, right? So all this was about that. There is a way to just jump between footage. So you just see like the first frame of that footage, and you can see, okay, here we are, he's still talking. Okay, here we came to another type of footage, right? They are having some sort of meal here. Okay, what is this about? Okay. So again, you may look at that for a little while, real time, but you can go quickly. Okay, this is just food. Okay. Okay, so it's an initiative where they have lunch and they talk about big issues, and then they have lunch. It's a networking event. So I am showing them having lunch and talking about it, talking about what they just, the presentation they just had. Okay, and then, okay, this is again a bit different footage because now they are talking, it's different. Okay, so I see, okay, this is it's a bit different. And if you are featuring somebody, you are always like following on your footage and trying to find images where you see this person, right? Like I am trying to feature this guy, right? Because he is launching the initiative and he's talking about it, etc. So I would look for footage where I can show him, because I want to show him doing things, right? Not just showing him talking. So any time that he will show up, I will also try to make a note of that, right? Okay. Then I see that, okay, then we come here.
And go for it. Okay.
And we found interview material, right?
Yeah, can go for it. Okay, hello. We're having the Future Lunch series, which I created about 1.5 years ago. Today, the topic is the future of healthcare. Okay, I should speak more.
Okay, that was not good, clearly. So I asked him to do another take, and I told him more or less what to say. And this was better.
Hello. Today we have the Future Lunch series here at Edgeoff, and it's bringing together change makers for specific topics. Today the topic is the future of healthcare, and we had actually quite amazing people here today. So if you want to be in one of the next meetings, you should connect.
Okay, so this is a super simple project. I just have, this is my interview. It's very simple. It's more of a message really than an interview, but it's not too much different from what you will do in a slightly different way. And then, for example, I have a mistake here. I think I left the camera open or something.
Chinese guy.
So you may have some mistakes too. Okay, so I think I will erase that file to not see it anymore, right? Maybe I'll erase it because that was a mistake. So now it's gone, right? You don't want to be dealing with that. Okay, and then so the event was finished, and then I wanted to contextualize it a bit. So I shot a bit of the exterior to show where we are. I showed some shots of Tokyo. Right, so I have all this material. Okay. All right, so I have already kind of like an idea of the footage, type of footage I have. And as an editor, there was a discussion already with the director, right? Maybe in reality, you may look at this 2-3 times with the director, maybe one fast time, just to see it like I show you now. And then again, checking everything slowly, and the director telling you, oh yes, let's use this footage for that. Let's use this footage for that. Like this, yeah. Like for example, maybe the place is very important, right? Maybe for some reason we really have to emphasize the place. Maybe these guys sponsor the event or something, and we have to show their name, right? So okay, we put the name. This is important. We have to put it up front or something like this. Okay. And yeah, sorry, Brendan, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes when shooting, the camera team would stop and say, okay, now we're just getting atmosphere. So they're not actually just trying to film anything particular, but they want to have like the noise of the street scene and the traffic and so on. And then that helps when editing later on, because they have an audio file that they can use. Do you do that a lot as well? Like atmosphere sound,
You mean atmospheric sound?
Yeah, atmospheric sound.
It's of course the recommended thing to do. I think I would do it often if I have a sound recordist, and then because he will be very detailed and okay, yeah, let's do that, and then we do it. Especially actually if there's some annoying noise, right? Brendan was telling me that the voguing team had some issue about some drinks vending machine near the place of the interview, and there was some humming noise. I don't know how bad it is. Maybe if it's constant, it's maybe not so bad. But if you have this type of situation, then it's really good idea to shoot some atmospheric sound of that sound actually. So you maybe use it or kind of to match everything else, because if you just have the interview with this sound and then other things without that sound, it's gonna be really jumping, right? Suddenly you hear this humming noise and then you don't hear it and then you hear it. But if you hear it continuously, it will be, your brain will accept it, right? But if I am doing like a one-man band shooting where it's just 1 or 2 people without a sound recordist, I most often don't do actually, but it's recommended that you do. So if you remember to do it, you should do it definitely.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so the next step now is you're going to start to select the footage that you will use, right? And again, there's many ways to do that. One way to do that would be here on the source monitor. And I guess there's 2 levels to this. You will be choosing clips, and that's again one word that we use inside Premiere. Clips, I guess, is used a lot, but when we say a clip, it's like one video, right? It's a video. We call them clips. No? Even if it's maybe not the whole video that you shot, maybe you shorten it already with the editing, that's a clip. No? We call them clips. So we're gonna do our selection, right, of the good stuff, you know, the useful stuff, you know, that we shot. So there's 2 levels to this. You can select, okay, I'm gonna use this clip, but also inside a clip, you will choose to just use some parts, right? So the way as I was saying, the way I go about it is with this timeline. This is a timeline of all my footage, right? And something that is very important too, as you work on these files, and what I try to do is to keep a track of all the things I'm doing, right? Not to just end up with your final edit and you don't have a way to track what you've been doing before. So the way I do that is in my edited timelines, I will be creating a continuously new timeline, right? Like a copy of the timeline I have, and just kind of leave that one and keep working on the next one, right? So for example, my timeline number 1, it's always, to me, it's always the timeline with the whole footage. So I can very easily go back and I can easily access all this footage here. But I will duplicate this timeline. So now we have a future launch number 2, right? So I will leave my timeline 1, my sequence 1 in peace and not touch it. But now I'm going to start doing things with my timeline number 2, okay? So we're going to start by selecting this footage, right? This is the way I do it. Some people do like this, some people do it in another way. But the way I would do it is, okay, it's like this. So basically also this control lets you to zoom in and out of the timeline. So I want to zoom in a bit in this. There's a couple of clips, right, that I'm going to be working on. There's 1 clip, 2nd clip, 3rd clip. So, okay, I start watching this.
Of course, one big topic.
Okay, so I kind of like how he moved his hand, how his hand there. I'm not sure if I'm going to use what he says yet.
It's of course one big topic.
Okay.
Of course, one big topic.
Maybe for whatever reason, I like that he says it's a big topic. Maybe I want to use that. So what I do is I come to my tools here and I get this razor blade. And that's really the only 2 tools that I maybe 90% of the time use. I use this arrow to point to things, and I use this thing to cut things. You can do like 95% of all the editing with, or maybe 99 with those 2 tools. So okay, so
right now, big topic.
And maybe you don't see what I'm doing, but again here in the program monitor here, again, you have a sort of video player.
Big topic.
That you can play and
now.
Yeah, play and stop,
So we
play and stop.
talking about.
But again, there's many shortcuts to do all that. And one also very important shortcut is the tab, the space tab.
Is, of course, one big.
The space tab is like play and stop, play and stop, play and stop. You can do it with this.
Right now. Of course, one big topic.
Okay, so he's saying big topic here. So I want to keep this big topic and I like his movement of the hand. So I cut it there. Okay, now we have a cut. Now we have two clips, right?
Big topic.
Okay, I just like the big topic thing. Okay, so this is my way I do it is I will take this clip and I put it on a different track. Okay, and okay, this is also good to introduce this concept of tracks. Yeah? So what you are having here are tracks, call them tracks. So you see V3, V2, V1 is video tracks. V stands for video. And then there's like a bigger division here. And you have other tracks underneath here, which is A1, A2, A3. These are audio tracks, okay? And as you see, this clip has video and it has audio too, right? The video is on top and the audio is underneath here. Is that okay? So what I do is I would just make, I just move my selection to the second track, okay? Then I keep going.
We are talking about the future of healthcare.
Okay, oh, this is kind of cool.
We have no.
Okay, we're kind of, we show,
No,
okay, this is, I'm gonna mute it again. Okay, this is kind of interesting. We are, because we can see the place and it has a kind of feeling that we are entering here. Okay, that's kind of good. But at the beginning, quite often at the beginning and at the end of your shots, there will be some problem, right? Maybe you're moving the camera or something before it's stable or it's not ready to go. Okay, so again, here, okay, I'm gonna cut it from here. Okay. Okay, until here. Okay, that's great. Okay, so that's how I do it, right? So I keep going like this. I would watch the whole movie. Okay, move to the other scene. So you will be moving through all this footage, and okay, that's kind of interesting. If for whatever reason showing the food, it's interesting. And maybe for this one, I don't need to cut it. I want to keep the whole clip. Okay, I just keep the whole clip, right? Is that clear? Yeah. And
Mr. Luis, I have one question.
yes, go ahead.
So in your preference, your project is different timeline, right?
In
Maybe
my what, sorry?
Maybe if you this is the whole video, so you're making one timeline for the interview, one timeline for another outside, for example.
You mean like creating different timelines for different parts of the movie?
Yes, you're making like that, right?
Not yet. You can do that, or you can edit everything on one timeline, depending how long is your project. I would do that kind of thing for a long form piece, like a 30-minute documentary, where you have like 10 scenes of 3 minutes each. Then I would do that because it's too big. But if I'm editing, this is like a 40-second thing. This ended up as a 40-second little video. So I would just edit it in one timeline. I wouldn't create many timelines, right? Because it's just one, it's kind of just one scene, really. Is that clear?
Yes. Actually, I just remember that if we make different project for different part, maybe 50 seconds on different project, 50 seconds on different project, if we combine, should we combine the project or combine the output of the video?
You mean if you put together sequences later? Yeah, it's possible, but maybe, yeah, it's maybe no need to think too much about that for now.
Okay,
We get confused, but yeah, I would have several sequences if the project is complex and long. If the project is simple and short, I would just have one sequence where I am having all the scenes of my program, right? Like this one is very short, so I will keep it as one timeline, as one sequence.
Okay.
So, okay, so we keep going in this way. Then say there are some interviews. Okay, we found the interviews. I would often just put this totally out. Just separate them kind of. And we have the interviews here, right? I would often create a sequence just for the interviews. But again, this one is super simple. It's just really just one clip that worked, right? It's just one clip. So, but I would keep going like this, yeah? Like, yeah, this is, yeah, maybe this, sometimes you shoot too much stuff and it's not needed. Okay, so anyway. So this is how I would select it. And here comes the trick. So say we selected now only 3 clips, right? We selected this, everything you can see on the second timeline. So there's many ways to deal with this, but one way would be for you to just create a new bin that you can call video selections. Then you gather, then you select your clips and you drag and drop them to video selections. And now you have this, your 3 selections are there. You can also have another bin called interviews. And you go to your interviews that you put here. And you have your interviews there now. You can get even more. Maybe you decided already that your speaker screw up already on the first clip and you are definitely not going to use that. So maybe you already select that you're just going to use the second take. Okay, so you put it there. Now you're really selected, right? Because you already avoid having that. That's one way to do this. And then I create a new timeline that just uses the selected footage, right? So let's create a new timeline here. Duplicate this one. So we have everything there. I just erased everything, but the timeline, the key point here is that this timeline has the right settings, right? That you are not screwing up with the settings. Then you can come, okay, I'm gonna edit my whole movie with this. Where are they? Oh, sorry, not that one. This one, video selections, right? So you have your 3 clips here. You can throw them in there. And
Unfortunately, I mean, really, I mean, we thought Japanese going was
okay.
We have no external speaker, so you have to. I mean, unfortunately.
Okay. So you have your 3 clips that you selected there, right? Okay. Okay. And at this point, I think I'm gonna bring a bit more this project, but a little bit more advanced edit, so you can see how it's going, a bit more developed. So let me close this. But you saw this, right? And one maybe extra interesting thing here is that these project assets, you can view them. Now we're viewing them in a list format. So you can see that it's just listing with the name, but you don't really know, you cannot see what's there, right? You don't have any preview. Even if now I enter this bin and you see your 3 clips, but it's just a list. You don't really know what's going on there. But here, down here below, you can choose to see them in different way. Now we're seeing it in a list form, right? List view, but there's also icon view. So we can do this, and then you see these icons, right? And this is actually really great because it's almost like a storyboard where you can see the footage that you have, and then you can very easily see, okay, yeah, I'm gonna use this this clip of the kind of going inside the place, and this guy's talking. Then we have this footage of this guy talking, and then they're having lunch. Okay. Then you can see, okay, clearly we're gonna start from here because that's kind of entering the place. Then maybe we're gonna see this guy talking. And this is maybe not the best, but we're gonna see them having lunch. Okay. So you can start selecting your footage from here, right? So this view is very useful. Yeah? And again, it's because you are organized, right? If you can do the same with all your videos, right? This is your Bing with all your videos. But I tend to do that once they are selected already. So I'm gonna open this project in a different, a little bit more advanced, because we're gonna start running out of time again.
I think Alfredo has a question.
Yes, go for it, Alfredo, while I am switching the project.
Thank you. When you cut the videos and you put it from V1 to V2 timeline, then you select the videos in V2 and drag them to the edited timelines folder, right? But when you did that, the sound of the videos, of the cut videos, came along automatically
came automatically?
That's actually, that's my question. You only dragged and dropped the videos, but then in the timeline, when you run it, it run also the sound. So my question is if it brings the sound automatically.
Yes, I will tell you about that now as soon as.
Thank you.
It's a good question. Yeah. All right. So yes, maybe this is the actual project edited now with the actual clips that I selected, etc. So I'm going to show you how this is looking once it's already more advanced. But just to reply to Alfredo's question, so let me just go to some other place, random place in this timeline. So for example, so I have my video clips here, and videos have, of course, if you recorded any audio, they will have attached audio, right? These files, it's video and audio together, right? Then anytime you put them in, this is actually the original, right? Is the actual clip that you imported, fully complete. It will bring in the audio with it. So you have video and you have audio. But if you see, if I am selecting it now, I'm selecting both things. But as maybe what you are, the thought that is forming in your mind is that actually you can manipulate these things separately too. You can separate them, right? And that's here in this setting here, right? So if this setting is blue, it means that it's activated. If it's white or gray, it means that it's deactivated. So if this means that the two tracks are together, and this means that they are not together anymore. So I can move this video like this, right? Now, because they are not together anymore. And it's telling you here in this red thing is giving you like a warning, like the video and audio went out of sync by this amount of seconds and frames, right? So now it's out of sync actually. So he's speaking in a, his voice and the video is not connected anymore, right? I don't know if does that reply your question? So similarly, if you select footage and then just drag and drop the video part, it will not bring in the audio actually, right? So you have to make sure that this is activated by default, I think. So you have to make sure that you are selecting both and you bring them in both as selects. Is that cool?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So, okay, I'm gonna show you how this project is going now, right? So in reality, what I ended up doing, right? So these are my selects, my actual selects for this video, right? So I selected some scenes of Tokyo. I didn't select any of those clips at night in Shibuya because I am not making a program about Shibuya or about Tokyo. I just want a very little thing to say that it's Tokyo. Then I included more clips of the discussion, of the networking, and a little bit of the eating, not much, no? So these are my selects. I also selected some interview clips. I actually cut them already, cut just the parts that I liked, and I select them here. No? So.
Okay. Hello. Today we have the Future Lunch series here at Edge-Off, and it's bringing together change makers for specific topics. Today the topic is the future of healthcare. Okay.
So if you can see that this is like this is kind of grayed out, and there's this indicator. So that means that this is what is selected. These parts are not selected, right? But it's outside because I already cut this file. So, okay, I got another part later.
We had actually quite amazing people here today.
Maybe I didn't.
Today the topic is the future of healthcare, and we had actually quite amazing people here today.
Okay, so I decided that I was going to use somehow in a different part. This other is the same interview, but I'm not going to just play it continuously just because I recorded it like that. I can move it around and do whatever I want with it, right? So, right, so we have our selected video clips. So again, I can just bring in, okay. So these are my selected files. I'm gonna go a little bit quick on this one to keep some time for questions. Maybe that's what we will have time to do now, but basically another thing that I do now, it's a real edit, right? So the way I would normally do this, I'm gonna simplify it for you, but I would bring my interview footage first, right? And I really recommend you to do transcripts of your interviews. Like this, for example, this is from a program that I did recently for the Olympic Channel. And I did many interviews with some fathers and sons that play baseball because it was about a new stadium for the Olympics. Then I had all the interviews transcribed. I print them and then I start doing like this. I start selecting with paper, with a pen and paper, and I start making notes on what parts are interesting. And then I would go into the editing software and I start picking up just those sections, right? This one is super simple, this project, so I already know I'm gonna use those.
Amazing people here today. Today the topic is the future of healthcare, and we had actually.
And no. So for some reason for some reason I didn't keep this file going straight.
The future of healthcare, and we had actually cried.
So I thought.
So if you want to be in one of the next meetings, you should connect.
Okay. So I divided my bit to spread out a bit the interview because that's all we have, and I want to make a longer video. So instead of just playing the interview at once, I left some footage for later. So, but the key point here is that I'm putting all this interview content in the first track, right? So again, the name of the game is being organized, right? So I put my interview footage in the first track, and then this is the way I organize things. But I am going to bring in the footage that I'm going to put, I'm going to edit this with, I'm going to put it on the second track, okay? These are my selects. And in this particular project, I'm leaving the interview audio. So you see the audio of the interview is here. And my selections, I don't care about the audio. So they are only video, okay? So you see second track, it's all your footage, all your non-interview footage. And track one, it's all interview footage. And kind of the way this works is all tracks in audio, you will listen, but only the kind of like the top, the files that are on top is what you will only see those basically, right? So for example, here you see that we are going, okay, we're seeing all these clips. And
today we have the future lunch series here at Edgeoff, and it's bringing together change makers for specific topics.
Okay, so just so we started listening the audio of the interview, but we are not seeing the interview, right? We're seeing the person, our character in action, right? So this footage that you got is gonna be actions of your characters, or footage that illustrates what they are saying in one way or another. So because we are just starting this video, I want to feature this guy as soon as possible, right? So we see him doing stuff, and then finally we see him talking, right?
Specific topics. Today the topic is the future of healthcare.
And you want to know who's speaking rather quickly, because you don't want to be guessing as an audience who's speaking, who's this voice, why. I am already giving them a hint because I am clearly featuring this guy, right? Right? Okay, maybe this guy is important. Second time is just him. So clearly this guy is important in this video. And then we can start showing other people, right? And then we see, oh, this guy was speaking. Okay, makes sense, right? I want to get to him quickly. And normally I would put his name here, who he is, why he's relevant. But so this illustrates this two-track editing, right? So you have on the second track all your material that illustrates what you're showing. And in your first track is your interviews or people talking with each other, right? Yes. Yeah. This is maybe the most basic part, and we are already almost 3 o'clock. And so let me see what else is here. Yeah. Yes. So we got to hear editing clips in the timeline. And yeah, maybe a last trick that I will give you just now very quickly is that when I am storyboarding, what I do, many people, what they do is they will take Post-its and write on it. If you had many scenes, for example, the voguing team, now you have, maybe, I don't know how long is your videos. It's gonna be what, like 5-10 minutes, Brendan?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you will end up having, I don't know how many, but maybe like 3, 4, 5, 6 scenes. And then what traditionally people do is they just take Post-its and they just say they write the name of the scene, right? Like voguing, dancing. Then, I don't know, main character in his house. Then, I don't know, politician fighting for the rights of LGBT community. Then you create all this, and then people would go and start making like a sequence actually with post-its. And you see those post-its? I know you cannot see because you're not seeing me. So people will actually go and create like a timeline like this. And then, because then you can move them around, like, oh, this one maybe is better to put it first, and let's start with this thing. No, let's take this out. And people would organize themselves like that. But what I like to do in a bit more contemporary approach is to go into this footage and take little photos. You know, so I do screen grabs of the footage. And then I take these little photos and then I create a storyboard with them basically, right? I think Brendan told you or even show you some of my old storyboards, but that's how I do that, right? Instead of having these things, I use some software, and I can, later I can tell you some links to what is a good software to use to do that, right? And then you can also work on your timeline this way. So this is, I mean, it's very basic introduction, and there's other topics that we could have touched upon, but I don't know if, I mean, it's almost 3, but I don't know if you have any questions. If not, we can also, I can also reply to questions later. Yes.
Okay, there seems to be.
Yes.
Alfredo.
Starts Alfredo. Okay.
Just very quickly, in the video sequence that you showed, there are 2 video timelines, and V2, which is over V1, has like priority. Is it like right to understand it that way? Because there are videos that are overlapping, but V2 is showing and V1 no.
Exactly. So it's not timelines, it's tracks.
Tracks. Sorry.
Because the whole thing is a timeline.
Okay.
But let me see. Are you guys still seeing my timeline? No. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Yes. So yes, as I was saying, it's the kind of the workings of this is as if you are looking from above. You can see it that way, right? You're looking this timeline from above, and the first thing you see is what you will see, right? So if you are looking, you're looking from above, and yeah, as you can see it that way, that it has priority. So you will just see what it's on top, right? Like this, we're seeing the additional footage. If we move here, we see the interview because there's nothing on top. And like that, you can continue, right? You can have a third track too. And the third track will take preeminence again, right?
All right, thank you. And it would be the same with sound, but downwards.
Sounds, you listen to everything, right?
Okay.
Sound, it's all at the same time. For example, I can show you, this, yeah, I can show you the final movie maybe for this one, just for you to understand. So this one has a music already, right? And you will be listening to all at the same time, right? So for example, you have the audio of the person speaking and the music here. Can you see? So this is the.
It's bringing together change makers for specific topics, edge off, and it's bringing together future.
This audio is a bit messy actually because I didn't record it with a pin mic. This is not really like a professional TV work. It's for a friend only, but this was the best one I thought for you guys to understand. But the audio is not greatly recorded because I didn't record it with a pin mic. But you can see that you are listening both to this music.
Bringing together change.
And to the guy speaking. But when it's visual, you just see the top layer.
The lunch series here at Edge.
Right?
Thank you.
Something else, some more questions? I'm sure there's maybe so much stuff, but something that comes to your mind. Is that Ronja?
Yes, I have a question. Can we choose a priority for the sound, or one sound that will be louder than the other one?
Yeah, and yeah, of course, that's a whole other workshop, but that's audio mixing or audio editing. So basically, what you do is you can mute whole tracks, or you can just delete the sound part. For example, like where you here, I want to use, this is a shot of Tokyo, but I have some wind on the background. There's some motorcycles passing. I don't need motorcycles passing. I don't need any of that. So I can just eliminate all that audio from the beginning, right? Now we don't have it. And if you can see this, I don't know if is it already. And then you would mix, we call it mix the sound, so that whatever you want to be predominant is what it's making the proper volume at that time. No? So often you would have, at the beginning, you will have maybe very loud music. Because we don't have any other sound. So the music is what is leading everything.
Today we have the Future Lunch series here at Edge of.
But now we have the interview and the music, so we want to give predominance to the music. This, I mean, you don't need it. So you start changing how the volume, we will lower the volume on these things, right? So all clips have like a line that you can move.
Today we have the Future Lunch series here at Edge of, and it's bringing together change makers for
we can
specific topics.
We can put the volume up higher and lower. No? You will need to do that. That's sometimes a process we do at the end. These kind of finessing things. You can go over doing it in a very rough way at the beginning, and then you do these adjustments at the end often. But if you know that you don't need that audio at all, you can erase it from the beginning, or you can create a timeline that you can create a track that is muted. For example, I have all this footage that is not making any sound because I muted. Here you can mute the timelines, right? Sorry, the tracks. Yeah. Right? And yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is it naturally edited? Let me see if I can find. Yeah. So naturally edited would be something like this, right? So we see the place.
Today we have the Future Lunch series here at Edge of, and it's bringing together change makers for specific topics. Today the topic is the future of healthcare, and we had actually quite amazing people here today. So if you want to be in one of the next meetings, you should connect.
Anyway, so it's kind of like that.
Okay, thank you. Can you also fade in and fade out the music? Or is it...
Yes, and the video too, and apply transitions too. Yes, so there's so many. I think I'm gonna point you to some tutorials online too.
Thank you.
Yeah, that there's a couple of channels that I follow that have amazing tutorials in all of these topics, and you can check them out, because often this kind of things is good to do at the same time, right? You see the tutorial and then you're applying them at the same time. I often do even now, right? So like I just go back to this tutorial, how was to do, okay, and then I am applying it there, no, because it's difficult to just learn it and then apply it. Is you are doing it at the same time.
Okay, thank you. And I have another question. Do we get the license for the program, or do we have to go to the co-design center to use it, or how does it work?
So we have 4 Macintosh computers set up at the co-design center for you to use, and all of them have got Adobe Premiere installed there. So that's the idea, is that you would come in here to basically do your editing work.
And I think you can get like a free trial version that you can use for a while. So if you have a powerful enough computer, you can do that too. And even the subscription model is not so expensive, I think, because you will just pay for a month. So you can pay a month and then that's it. So it's not like so expensive. It's just I don't know, like what, $20, $30, $40.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
I have one last question.
Yes.
So I use Adobe Premiere on my MacBook, and oftentimes, because I don't think my MacBook is like strong enough to like go through all the processes that Adobe has, it often lags and it often like cuts off, or like it doesn't work as great as I think it would work on like a big MacBook. But is there a way to like lighten the load or like make it work faster on a MacBook while you're working? Like, is there like a rendering system or like a way to kind of make it smoother, I guess?
Yeah. Yes, there are ways. Although I mean, the best way is just to have a powerful computer. There is, depending on the files that you are using, your computer will have more or less trouble with them, because some files are really highly compressed, and then some files are maybe bigger but less compressed, and then you need bigger storage but less processing power, right? I think, for example, like ProRes files, I think the Ninja creates ProRes files, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So those files will require lots of storage but less processing power. So it's better to edit with those files, for example, than with the camera files, because those will be MPEG-4 files that will be very highly compressed. So since you are using the Ninja, you ideally use always the ProRes files from the Ninja. If you end up with files from the camera, you can always transcode them to ProRes. Yes, but that's I can tell you, if you want to do that, I'll tell you yourself later. But you can do that, but that's kind of the thing. But video, you do need a more or less reasonably powerful computer, right? Yes.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions? No? All right. Well, thanks, Luis. I think that was very pitched at the right level, because you can do a tutorial when you start Adobe Premiere. You can do little tutorials on how the different tools work, or the panels, etc. But I think because you presented how to organize the project, that's something that you can't learn from a tutorial very easily, and it's really important to get that right from the start. And I can see with your work, I think your workflow as well was really clear there. And so I will share this video with the students so they can go over it again. But I'm going to stop the recording now, and also we can start to wrap up the class. But before I do that, just want to say what to expect for next week or from here on. And